Hello and welcome to the Import-Export Hub channel weekly newsreel. My name is Bogdan and on this channel I cover import-export related topics. But as usual, before I start the newsreel, the quiz question of the week. So brace yourselves. Which country was the largest exporter of fresh kiwis in the world in terms of value in 2020? And the options here are Italy, Greece or New Zealand. And if your answer was New Zealand, congratulations, you were right. New Zealand exported more than $1.7 billion worth of fresh kiwis. Remember, it doesn't matter if you knew the answer or not. This is just for fun, so no competition, guys, here. Anyways, before I begin, don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe buttons if you remotely enjoyed this video. And without further ado, let's start with this week Freightos index, which is at 1 second, $6,490, sorry. And we see here some big movers in relation with Europe to South America East Coast lane, who had a 24% increase, while the China to North America West Coast lane had a 7% decrease. As for the crossways lanes, we have again some increased values, and we see that the lane from China to North Europe is at $12,377, while from China to the Mediterranean we have $11,702. Now, moving on to the news, I have some exciting news to share with you, as it seems that finally the Federal Maritime Commission is moving ahead with the investigation related to the carriers' behavior in relation with the US exporters. And for this, the Federal Maritime Commission and the Department of Justice, yes, signed a memorandum of understanding, marking the first ever MOU between the two agencies. And it comes also in response to President Biden's executive order on cracking down on anti-competitive behavior, but also on topics related to, and I quote, unjust and unreasonable fees, unquote, including detention and demurrage charges that have soared during the pandemic. So this MOU will establish the framework for the Federal Maritime Commission and the Antitrust Division in order to exchange, of course, information between the two agencies and share the findings afterwards. For me, at least, this is a positive thing, as more agencies need to be involved in cracking down this issue, but on the same time, it might be just an endeavor that won't have the required leverage in order to formally punish the carriers, of course, if they find something to punish. It's a personal opinion, I might be wrong, but at least we see some new developments being made in this sense. And speaking of new developments, I have here another news concerning the Federal Maritime Commission investigation coming from supplychainbrain.com. And I will stop just at one paragraph citing Daniel Maffei, the Federal Maritime Commission chairman, and I quote, "We have increased our scrutiny of the ocean carrier alliances to identify evidence of anti-competitive behavior regarding rates and capacity, and we will continue to do so as the COVID-19 and import surge crisis continues," unquote. And for me, one sentence is crucial from these two paragraphs, which is the one saying that the Federal Maritime Commission increased its scrutiny on the ocean carrier alliances, as the shipping industry traditionally, although it's regulated and somehow transparent, doesn't want to have all the attention it has now. I don't know, it's like when you haven't done your reconnaissance and warm-up laps and you find yourself at the start of the race and the team manager watches you to see if you will deliver at the race. I don't know, maybe the analogy is somehow forced, but still, what I wanted to say is that the shipping industry, from my point of view, doesn't want to grab all this attention, and now it might be too late, or not, I don't know. Again, depending on the leverage that the Federal Maritime Commission, together with the Department of Justice, have on foreign carriers in order to impose sanctions. Of course, if they found something to be sanctioned. Anyway, it remains to be seen what the two departments will find out, and as soon as I have new information available, rest assured I will share them with you. My next news is covering the point of view of the Ocean Carriers Lobbying Group, so World Shipping Council, as the carriers push back on White House's scrutiny of pricing. And here I've highlighted just 2 paragraphs focusing on the fact that all available vessel capacity is deployed. The largest US seaports are saturated with cargo, and importers are struggling to unload and turn around containers. All because of, and I quote here again, huge and sustained increase in US imports, unquote. From my point of view, these factors indeed play an important role in the supply chain, but these are not the only segments or stakeholders, if you want, involved in the supply chain. I see little or no coverage about topics like naval gigantism or vertical integration of the carriers, because they've stopped being only providers of transport from port A to port B. They now have inland capabilities, both rail and road. For example, CMA CGM has recently opened an air freight division. And because I was speaking earlier about vertical integration, let's not forget about terminals, which for me, it's again a very important link and a factor to consider when investigating the carrier's behavior. Okay, I do agree that these are separate entities, separate business units, but whose interests are at stake here? The importers and exporters, or the carriers who own the terminal? As for the ports, okay, they are more or less owned by the public authorities, but remember, a port is competitive as much as it has terminals on it in order for the carriers to call that port. Otherwise, carriers will bring their business in some other port. And also, let's not forget about the container leasing companies. I think that in the next 3 to 5 years, we'll see some big mergers and acquisition. And when I'm talking about acquisition, I won't be surprised to see that major ocean carriers will acquire some big container leasing companies. Anyway, I'm rambling on, but what I'm trying to say is that until the Federal Maritime Commission will bring at the same table all the stakeholders involved in the supply chain and truly understand how their business are working, I don't think we're going to see big developments taking place anytime soon. Anyways, let me move on to my next news, which involves Evergreen, and don't be afraid, there's no accident taking place. I will cover the fact that Evergreen ordered 6,000 shipping containers in order to somehow grab this exceptional momentum that the shipping industry has. It seems that the cost was around $6,600 for each container. And given this price, I think we're talking about reefer containers, as indeed at the moment the demand for reefer container is really high, and consequently I think that Evergreen doesn't want to lose big bucks by not directing, what's that, 6,000 times 6,600, give or take $40 million towards this part of their business. I think that's this is peanuts compared to Evergreen earnings in 2020 of about $900 million. And this is another example of how ocean carriers' profits are redirected in order to improve their future business. Anyways, let me move on to my next news, and because I don't want to make this video too long, and we have here this news coming from Kenya, as it seems that the mango exports from Kenya towards Europe will resume after 8 years. The exports were put on hold by Kenya's authorities as there were some issues related to fruit flies. The European Union approved the request from Kenya, and it seems that they will develop the certification protocol with the help of all the actors and stakeholders involved in the mango supply chain, from input providers to growers, farmers, brokers, exporters, and importers. So good news for Kenyan mangoes, as they are approaching the peak season, which is starting in November, and they really need to have all these protocols in place by then. Moving on to my next news, and we stay in the fruit sector, this time with Chilean citrus. And it seems that from the total citrus forecasted harvest of 3,900 metric tons, 85% of them will be shipped towards the US market. So again, good news coming from the fruit sector, this time from Chile. And that's about it. I don't think I have anything else to add. And I think I can move on to my last news, which comes all the way from Uzbekistan, as it seems that the government there has passed a resolution further liberalizing customs procedures and foreign trade transaction. And if you're wondering why is this relevant, the same article is answering this question. And it's relevant for your business if A, you buy or sell goods from companies registered in Uzbekistan, and B, you own a subsidiary or a company in Uzbekistan that exports goods from there. So if you're doing business with or in Uzbekistan, I really think that you should take a look at this article, as it covers in depth the changes related to foreign trade practices in Uzbekistan. And with this being said, I finished this week newsreel. I really hope you've enjoyed. Don't forget to comment in the section down below. And of course, hitting the like and the subscribe buttons would be highly appreciated. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, keep your business safe. Thanks.